I kind of want to be here for some people to learn a little bit more about sign language, learn a bit more about deaf culture, bring some deaf people into comedy shows, but most importantly, everyone here to have a laugh. Because one of the big things I've found since I've been doing this show is the lack of knowledge about sign language. We'll talk about it around the world terms, so let's break it up just now. I need hands up for this. Who here in this room is from the UK? Put your hands up. Okay. Okay, hands down. Thank you. Hands up who's not from the UK. Okay, oh that's quite a lot. What countries do we have?
Brazil.
Brazil?
Canada.
Finland.
Ireland? Finland? Okay, any else? France. Okay. So I'll explain a bit about sign language, right? So in the UK, sign language is all done in two hands. It's all signed in two hands. I'm not sure about Brazil, I don't know, but it's two hands. Cool, thank you. We've got Ash Jeeves, brilliant. Thank you for helping. So quick, 0.04 seconds, man, that's amazing. I'm going to ask two people a question. We picked on you earlier, so I'll just ask you a question. Doesn't matter. So I'm doing this show in British Sign Language, BSL. What year did that become an official language in the UK, do you think? It dates back to like the 1500s. What year do you think? Have a guess.
1482.
1482. Cool. When I said it dates back to the 1500s, you were like, no, I've got a year, I'm happy. Okay. And let's go for... generally, I've done this show about 35 times. That's the worst answer we've had. Thank you for taking part in it. Finland, I'll be honest, this should be easier to be better than that. What year do you think?
1510.
1510. Okay. The current. Sorry?
1985.
1985. This is like the weirdest auction in the world now, right? Isn't it? I'll tell you the real answer. You're closest. Sign language, although it dates back to the 1500s or 1482 for you, sign language became an official recognised language in the UK in 2003. It's fucked. 2003. So if you think about it, sign language is 7 years younger than Justin Bieber, right? That's the best way to think about it. And it dates all the way back. So it's only been recognised in the UK in the last census. That's the first time it's happened, right? So what will happen is, in this show, it's split into 3 sections. And the first section is finished, so there's a voiceover and there's signing. And the next part, I will be signing here, but I'll be speaking normally, stand-up style, here. So if you're deaf, obviously you're better to watch the screen here. If you are hearing, you can watch me, watch the screen, it's up to you. And then the last part, we combine it all together. Yes, different t-shirt, I've got more than one t-shirt, it's okay. And little things in my life that are quite normal to me but will sound odd out loud. I didn't know Santa was hearing until I was about 6. First 2 times I met Santa, played by a deaf guy. Go to the deaf club, deaf Santa. My dad dressed up as Santa, deaf Santa. Primary 1, year 1 for you English people, and Santa comes into school. I sit on his knee ready to sign to him, and he goes, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I lost my fucking shit. I was like, it's a miracle! And even those kind of things, like I learned a lot more about deaf culture as I've grown up, but I still had those doubts every now and then. Like the first time I ever brought a girl back to mum and dad's house, I think it was either 16 or 17, just that age, and we're drunk. And my brother and sister were away for the weekend, and you know, if you've got a brother and sister, that is like a precious commodity. My mum and dad are downstairs, we're upstairs, stuff's happening, we're getting handsy, essentially just touching each other pretty much. And I had this thought in my head, I had to voice it. I was drunk, and I just went, shh. And she went, "Your mum and dad are deaf." And I went, "Yeah, I know. What if they've just been pretending?" Like as if they were going to wait 17 years and the payoff would be, quite frankly, mediocre shagging. Like, I don't know, I thought about this the next day. When she told me that, I was like, what did I think was going to happen? Like, my dad would hear fumbling and then he would just turn to my mum and go, "Jill, it's time." And like, when I was like, the first time I came home drunk, this was the worst thing, right? Because you get sign language interpreters. I have 2 family members that are sign language interpreters on the telly. Quite cool, but imagine the first time you come home drunk and you switch the telly on, you're like, when did Aunt Carol join CSI? Like, I thought Mum would have maybe told me about that one. Or even worse, some people might remember this. I'll ask this during Fringe, not many people admitted this. Early 2000s, Channel 5 used to show softcore porn films on a Friday night. Does anyone remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking straight away. I've not finished asking the question straight away, man. And I remember one time switching the softcore porn film, obviously for research, on a Friday night, switching it on, and there was my aunt interpreting it in the corner. I just remember sitting there going, this is going to be a tough one. This is... Still managed, like I'm not a pervert. And I used to think tons of things like that. And one of the best things about this show is, because I had a lot of responsibility when I was younger, like I grew up in that kind of deaf culture, that kind of deaf environment. You get asked a lot of the questions and stuff like that. And my favourite thing about questions is, like, I think that's a great thing, because I think one of the biggest problems with disability in the UK just now is people are scared to ask questions because they're scared of offending people, or scared to kind of open up that conversation. But even if you ask the stupidest question possible, you start that conversation. And people always ask you, like, did you mind your mum and dad being deaf and all that kind of stuff? And I was like, no, I didn't mind that at all. The worst thing was when you go to official appointments and there's no interpreters there. For example, my dad couldn't get a passport for 4 months because he went to passport interviews and the interpreter cancelled on him, so he went to the back of the list. I've met people during this show who an interpreter didn't show up to an NHS appointment and then they had to tell their parents that they had cancer. And that's a genuine thing that happens quite a lot in the UK just now. And that kind of stuff, not the time to laugh, but thanks. And what I used to wish was, or maybe you actually, if you're watching sign language, that was the right time to laugh actually. Fucking dual language, heckling myself. And don't clap, I'm on a timer here, shut the fuck up. And people always ask you the best thing about knowing sign language. This is the best thing about knowing sign language. If I go out with my dad and we're signing to each other, people will then presume I'm deaf and talk about us right in front of me. This happens all the time. All the time. During the festival it happened, right? And me and my dad went for a pint after the show, and people were like, I wonder what they're saying. And I could hear them. I said that to my dad, and my dad was like, say this, right? So we were signing away to each other, just back and forward. And then I voiced something. So we're signing away, and I just went, and then I think he killed her. And then just kept signing, they're all like... What happened with them? And I think my favourite part is the question you get asked, have you ever used your sign language powers for bad? Yes, of course I have. Of course I have. Recently, like, what's it now? Probably 7 weeks ago now. So what happened was I passed my driving test in June. And if you get caught speeding twice in 2 years when you pass, you get banned from driving, you have to start again, right? And I was doing a gig, I was driving home, and the police siren came behind me. And I realised it had gone from 70 miles an hour down to 50, and I hadn't realised, so I was still doing like 60, and I was like, fuck. And we pulled over, and I decided I was going to pretend to be deaf, right? It's not my proudest time, but I think we can all agree £100 is £100, right? So what happened is, the police went, we pull in, right? And I put my window down, and I hear, because obviously I can hear, so I hear him speak, and he says, license registration, please. And I signed back to him, I just went, which means sorry, I'm deaf, right? And you could see the guy shit himself, right? He was young. He was like 22, 23 years old. He looked like a fetus in a uniform, right? And I said, sorry, I'm deaf. And straight away I saw him look behind him to the other person in the car. And I realised he's panicking, right? And he looked around and he was like, so I was like, I've got all the power here, so I'm going to put some pressure on him. So what I did was I signed again twice. I went, right? Twice, two more, sorry, I'm deaf, sorry, I'm deaf. And you could see the guy, he was like this. And for the next 30 seconds, I'd try so hard not to laugh. Not because of what was happening, but because of what happened next. Because when I signed, sorry, I'm deaf, all I could hear was the policeman talk to himself, right? So I'm sitting in the car, and all I can hear is the guy going, shit. What should I do? What should I do? No. Fuck. This wasn't in the training. No. And it went on and on and on. I was trying to sit there like pure story face, right? And in the end, he stood there for a bit and he went, just go, just go, just go. And it was probably the best time of my life until I ruined it by going, oh, thanks, mate. Fucked it, man. Paid the fine. So I signed back to my dad. I signed back to him, and I just said, shut. And I would never swear to my mum and dad in sign language, never. Because when I was growing up, if they caught me swearing in sign language, they would take me into the kitchen and wash my hands with soap, right? So I was never, favourite joke on the show. So what happened was my girlfriend went along to learn level 1 sign language. She wanted to speak to my dad, and I said to my dad, don't teach her any new signs, right? Because you teach her bad ones. So she came back one day, she was like, I've learned Ireland. I was like, shut up, Dad, right? Don't teach her. But my dad doesn't concentrate. If you tell him something, it's like it goes in one hand and out the other, right? He doesn't pay attention. Second best joke on the show.